Hey, this is Cool Terrain, mister. So, from High Pressure from Jim Geronimo, he said you better do a tutorial on this these terrain pieces that you got on the go. So, I'm only teasing. So these are a bunch of the pieces that I showed last time, and I set them up with, I have two big pieces, and then I got we got 2, 4, 6 smaller ones, and then I got, I don't know, probably about 30 or 40 little tiny plants there. Oh, the guys are here. Hey guys, come on in. These are a couple of my buddies, Thad Albert, Donald, Rudy. Come on in. Hey. Hey, Father Albert. Wobble, we will go double to a clever house and make some terrain. Hey, Donald, that's a great idea. Hey, Rudy, let's go down to the clubhouse and make some terrain.
Get away from me, Fat Albert.
Alright, well, see you guys later. Anyways, back to seriousness here. Terrain business. So I decided to set this up on the light-colored coffee table so it's easier to see the pieces in that, instead of putting it on the actual board and that, which then they'll just blend in and kind of disappear. So these are the pieces. These pieces here, these are the ones that I'm going to do my tutorial on. I've shown them the other day, and if you caught that video, so I'm going to be working on these. But first I thought I'd just lay out all the pieces and show you what I got, because I kind of want to get into and explain, I kind of like to explain how I come about doing these things, and not just, here's the product, here's the material, and do it, so I'd rather explain, what, the size of pieces and that. So for example, like this is my biggest piece on here. This is probably about like 16 by 16 inches, around about. Then I got these smaller guys. These ones are probably roughly about maybe 8 by 8 inches. And then I got all my little plants, which I've shown before, and these are actually mounted on pennies. But I find they're a little bit tippy, so when you go to put them down, they could easily get knocked down. So let's see what I got here. I've probably shown most of the stuff here, so I'll just kind of do a little flyover on some of the pieces that I got. Yeah, I've shown most of these before. Plants. A lot of these plants are, plastic plants. Some of them are, from fish store, or like these come from an aquarium. These ones, I think. These ones, these tall ones, I think are from the dollar store. Some of these other ones, a lot of them are from the dollar store. Some of the nicer ones are actually from the Silk Warehouse. But I try to buy anything that, first of all, it's got to look good, and then second of all, can't be too overly priced. But anyways, so that's some of the pieces that I got going on here. Let's come over here. Here's some elephant grass pieces that I'm working on, that I've done, I should say. Alright, I've shown you that piece before, my palm tree. So what I like to do is, when I'm designing a board, first of all, I like to have my real big pieces. So this one here, this is my big ones, and this one here. So once you got your board built, and you try to keep your board or your table, I should say, try to keep it more on the basic side, is what I like to do myself. And then I like to put on bigger pieces, so that way I can move stuff around and customize them. Then once I got a couple big pieces like these, like this one and this one, then what I'll do is then I'll build all these little ones. That way I can always move them, push them together, add them, remove as I need, and that way you can make your table more, you can customize it a lot better. Then I make my even smaller pieces. So like this one here. So in relation, to my hand, it's not very big. But with these small ones, with all these little guys, now I can easily go over and I can put them on my bigger board with all these little guys if I want more foliage on there. So, and you know, you can go as crazy as you want. You can remove them, you can add guys, and whatever you need. So here's everything reset back up, and here I got a bit of a canyon thing going on. I got some AT43 guys on here. I got about 100 guys that are just set up on the table here, good guys, bad guys. And what I've done is I've sorted all my plants into the different styles, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set some guys up with just the individual type of plants. These ones over here, these are like some custom made, and then I can give you some little some insight on how I built them and what exactly they are. Okay, so that's that. So one thing I did do here is I see my pieces here. What I like to do is I like to give them kind of one high side, and then give them steps or different heights. So that way you need to have a way of the guys getting up on the pieces is one important thing. So it's just like when you build a fence, you want to think about you know, what is the purpose of the fence. You know, it's to get, you know, maybe it's got to be straight, it's got to be strong, it's got to maybe keep the dogs out and the kids in, you know, or it's got to look good, or it's got to be price effective, or whatever it may be. And you kind of got to keep the same thing, you know, in mind when you build your terrain. So I would say, you know, is it functional? Does it work? Is it strong? You know, is it going to last? And, you know, those are some things to think about whenever you're building your terrain. And I kind of like to have each thing kind of be multifunctional and to have a purpose. And those are some of the things, but I'll get more into detail on that. So these are all my tiny plants, and they're all on pennies, and all the rocks or the dirt are all pieces of polystyrene foam. And so I'll go through the pieces as quickly as possible so I can actually upload this on for you guys. Okay, so there's my penny. Then I take white glue, and I take the piece of foam about the size of the penny, and then I will glue it onto the penny. Then I'll take some flock, add that on, and then I will hot glue the plant onto the rock. But I do that first. So penny, foam. Then before I glue the plant on, I like to do all my dry brushing. Paint the stone brown. Sorry, let me start over. Take the penny, glue the rock onto the penny. Then I prime it, paint it, dry brush the rock. Then hot glue the big plant piece onto the foam. Then once that's on, then I will add some glue and then put on some flock to finish it off, being my last move. Okay, do it any other way, it's going to be longer and harder. So there's that guy. This one here, see, it's got a completely different look for the stone. Let's get some rounded sides. Okay. See, and they're a little bit top heavy. That's why I want to eventually put them on poker chips so they don't fall down so easy, especially when they're on the game table. Okay, these guys, Silk Warehouse. Very interesting rock detail on there. And all I did was just took the little piece of foam and just broke pieces off. And that's just natural, that's no carving whatsoever. This is an interesting piece. It actually sits on the table like a tripod. It's got this branch and this branch over here to help support it. This guy here, this is actually on a piece of OSB, something strand board, and so it's compressed wood chips to make plywood, and I've shown this before. So this is my different style of plant. Again, dollar store plants. Snip little pieces, throw them on there. These little chunks here, those are probably chunks of cat litter that are glued on. And maybe a sand mix. And these are actually little pine needles that I glued on. See all those little sticks in the front? Bigger piece. And then another big one. I always try to make each piece a little bit different so I can kind of experiment with the product at the same time. And on this one I put it on some static grass on the bottom there. Okay, these guys here, they're really curly, and they get caught up on the other piece. I want to knock it over, you know, when you go to put the piece down or reach in to grab a man. So again, I want to put them on something weighted. You could also put them on, instead of, like here I got a penny, you could use a washer, and a bigger washer, and you can get them for like 10 cents each. You know, go to in your hardware section at your, or the hardware section in the hardware store, where they got all the nuts and bolts, and usually they sell them by bulk. You can just throw a bunch in a bag and buy as many as you need. So there's that. They are curling quite a bit, which is a little bit of annoying. They look okay, but again, functionality wise, I guess, if that's a word. What I'll probably end up doing with these, I'll probably put a hairdryer on them or a heat gun, and then let them hold it upside down and heat gun it, and then that way when they get softer and bend more straight, then I'll put some PVA glue on it and maybe dry them upside down so they don't uncurl again. But still decent looking piece. When I get a tall piece like this, what I'll do is with the foam, I'll make a hole in it, and then when I cut the pieces, I'll shove them into the hole and then put in some PVA glue. That way they're more embedded and they'll be stronger. So, and on there I got some static grass, a little bit of flock to make it look like moss. This guy, whoops, see, he's crazy curly. Look how curly this thing is. It's like out of control. Here's another style. This is actually supposed to be plastic grass or like a fern, you know. So cut pieces off, stick them into the foam. You know, see, look, tippy, drives me crazy. But sometimes it's trial and error, eh? So, and you don't even have to paint them, which is nice. Some other pieces. Whoop. And these are obviously two different type of plants here. There's a base. Pennies. Nice thing about pennies, you can get 5 for $1. Or, sorry, you can get 5 pennies for a nickel, and you can get them just about anywhere.